Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw Reacts. This past weekend, I was at San Diego Comic-Con, SDCC as they say, for the very first time, and I wanted to go through and actually talk about all the things that I did. Panels, people that I saw, all that, and the best way to do it is go through my Twitter account and just go through the timeline of events, because honestly, I'm forgetting some of the things that I did, because there was so much stuff that I did end up doing at Comic-Con. So we're just going to go through, and I'm going to be expanding on some of the tweets and things in terms of like panels and stuff that I was covering while I was there and all that. It was really, really fun, and I can't wait to do it again next year. So this is my tweet that I sent out, of course, the day before. I got there the day before preview night, which was last Wednesday. I got there Tuesday to kind of get used to the change in the time difference, and that's where I learned as I was getting on the plane that Kaylee, who was, I think her name was Gia, I think that's how I pronounce that, from the Godzilla X Kong films, unfortunately passed away. I saw that news break when I was getting on the flight. Rest in peace to her. When I landed, I did meet up with Joypad Jake here. As you see, we were at a restaurant next to the hotel. He flew in and got there about an hour before I did. He also took a photo with me as well. And the hotel's pretty warm in there, so we had to definitely turn up the air conditioning, or turn down, I guess, the air conditioning, like, in terms of like lowering it. But anyways, to get it cool in the room. The next morning, we actually met up with Alan, who's, of course, from Council of Creators, Alan's Movie Talk. He's, of course, on TikTok and YouTube as well, does his own live stuff, too. It's really cool. He's wearing a Council of Creators shirt in that photo. We actually met up. He actually came to our hotel room Tuesday night, but this was Wednesday before preview night. We actually went to go see The Odyssey for the first time, as you see behind us. Long, but pretty damn good. My first time seeing it, it was his second time, and I believe it was Phil and Jake's first time seeing The Odyssey, but we saw that before preview night. So there is that. And then preview night, we got there and we met up with Ronin Unchained. It's actually better if I just, the zoom in. There we go. Boom. It was great meeting Ronin in person. It was great meeting Phil and Alan in person. I've met Jake before in person, but meeting Alan, Phil, and Ronin was really awesome. And it was a good start to preview night for sure. It was really, really cool. And I got that little book in my hand there. That is actually like a map and everything, kind of laying out the whole event itself. And trying to figure that out was a little bit hectic, but I finally got to figure it out for sure. But it was cool to see them guys. Now here's what's really, really cool for me. So, of course, Alan, Jake, Ronan, Omni Media, and Busy. I've known Busy and Omni Media for years. Back Busy, me and Busy were basically fighting for views and shit back during the Arrowverse days, trying to get our videos up night of. So to finally meet Busy and Omni in person was awesome. Of course, like I said, meeting everyone in person is great, but it's like just crazy that after all these years, I finally met up in person with Omni Media and Busy and Ronan, obviously, because I've known these guys for a while, but Omni and Busy, I've known them for quite a while, and we've had conversations back and forth, so it's just kind of wild to actually see them in person. It's just kind of surreal. It's kind of awkward a little bit, but you bypass that because we all are genuinely good friends, and so it's just awesome that we were able to do this. This is actually in Hall H line. So we got the wristbands, because they have this new process now where you stand in a line the night before to get a wristband, and then if you get in the line for Hall H by 7:30 a.m. the next day, you get into Hall H for that day. So we were standing in line for the Thursday Hall H panels, and we'll get to that in one second. But it was just cool to hang out with these guys for a little bit while we're waiting in line to get those wristbands. So really, really cool. This is one of my favorite photos that I took at the event with all the boys in line for Hall H. Is what I put out for. And then then of course, Darren and Johnny were hosting that night when we were waiting in preview line, in the preview night for Hall H line. And so shout out to of course Darren and Johnny for holding down the fort, and a shout out to everyone who showed up on the show that night while we were there. And as you see that really blurry image, I don't want to tweet anything, as you can see here, this blurry image. But the quality got a little bit better, but that was funny. But thank you, Darren and Johnny. So here's us, of course, the next morning. We were in line, and that was actually Team JVS, which was the press that Jake was under. But that was us in the next morning in line, ready to get into Hall H. So that was cool. Moving on, us in Hall H. Here we go. We're about to get started with the first panel, which is, if I remember correctly, Percy Jackson Season 3. So yeah, that was really cool. We're there in Hall H, and there's Walker Scoble, and I forget her name, but she's the one of the co-leads. She was unfortunate out there, so he brought out a little picture of her. But we saw the first few minutes of Percy Jackson Season 3. I have not seen Season 2, so I wasn't really sure what was going on, but it looked cool. and everything. And I'm really excited to actually dive back into Percy Jackson. I've seen season 1, it was great, but I heard season 2 was even better. I just never got around to actually watching it, but we did see the first few minutes there for sure. And then they announced, of course, at the panel, and they released it officially, that the release date of season 3 in terms of when it starts. So yeah, that was pretty cool, and it was just cool to see the cast out there talking about the show and everything. And Walker, it's just kind of crazy how he has grown up so much from what I remember him from the Adam Project a number of years ago, a movie on Netflix with Ryan Reynolds playing his dad. Percy Jackson season 3 will be the most book accurate. That's what they said at the panel. They said the most book accurate, but they say, well, it's all book accurate. Next up was Wolverine, which is the Wolverine game, of course, from Insomniac, and then of course here's Liam McIntyre. My voice crack there. Liam McIntyre and Crizia Bajos. I'm not sure how to pronounce that last name, or maybe first name. I'm butchering that too. Apologies. But Wolverine and Jean Grey, they came out, and we did see a new trailer. I was not sure as we were going on with panels what they were releasing online and what they weren't, but they did release the story trailer that they played to start the panel for Wolverine and Hall H. They played that story trailer and then it released online, but it was really cool to see that. And they had talked some more information about the game and everything, and Team X, as they're calling it, which I believe is the next tweet for me. Marvel's Wolverine Team X will include Wolverine, Sabretooth, and Mystique. As a team, they've come together and all that, so that was cool to learn some more information about the game. We didn't see anything like exclusive besides that story trailer, which wasn't even exclusive. They put it out, but it was cool for that. Next up was Marvel Tokon. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, I did not see much of this panel because in Hall H, you're able to leave the room and get food, and that's when I went to go. Not because I have no interest whatsoever in Marvel Tokon, it's just that I was trying to find a good spot to get food because I had not really eaten that much. And the next panel after Marvel Tokon and Hall H was going to be the Avatar Aang, The Last Airbender movie panel, and then discussing the movie, so I wanted to make sure that I went, but I stayed a little bit just to see Josh come out, and that's him, of course, in Tony Stark mode, in Spidey mode. He actually retweeted, or more so like reposted, I guess, on his Instagram stories of me posting on my Instagram story about Josh being in Hall H. So that was pretty cool. I have that screenshot to show that he did repost my Instagram story on his Instagram story. And then, of course, we have more here. Liam is great. I responded to this tweet about, Liam joking about, I'm so excited to see for people to see a real Australian's interpretation of the character. Of course, Hugh Jackman. But yeah, that was a cool panel, Hall H. Now, here we go. Avatar Last Airbender. Avatar Aang, The Last Airbender. So that image popped up. I love that logo. It's pretty damn cool. And yeah, Jeanette Varney. I did not know this. I really wasn't keeping too much with the information in terms of who was hosting and who was like cast for the most part, or who was going to be showing up. But Jeanette Varney, of course, Cora hosted the panel, and I got some images here of the cast as they were coming out. As you can see here at the bottom, like they're sitting at the table, they're bringing out Aang, of course, here. Dave Bautista was there. There's our Katara, our new Katara. But Dave Bautista was, for me, the highlight of the panel because he admitted he was a little bit nervous and everything, but he came out and he was great at the panel, honestly, and it talked a lot. And even though he was saying he was nervous and he was a little bit uncomfortable, was a little shy, but he really talked a lot about the process of recording for a number of years on this character and all that, so that was really, really cool. They also revealed that there is now a written language in the Avatar universe, which was showcased in the film, which I did end up seeing. We'll talk a little bit about that later. At the actual in what's called Ballroom 20, not Hall H. Later on, they had a panel later on in the time of SDCC. But yeah, so they came up with a font, if you will, like an actual, like, not a font, but a written language in the Avatar universe. So that's pretty interesting that they did that. And I also took some photos of early concepts of what the characters were going to look like. We have Katara here. We got early, and I didn't take photos of everything that popped up, but we have Toph. We have, of course, Zuko, and I believe, the last one was Aang. Pretty cool. They also had some really different looking concept art for Dave Bautista's character in the film. He looked vastly different where they ended up with him visually. They dropped a trailer for Avatar 7 Havens, and they showed that to us, and that was really cool. But then, of course, they ended up revealing it and dropping it online when they showed it at the panel. So they ended the panel by showing the Seven Havens, the new show trailer. I thought it was going to be exclusive. It was not exclusive. They dropped it online. That was me sharing our reaction to X-Men 97 to Season 2, Episode 6. That was with Phil and Jake. So that was pretty cool. That was a really cool video to do. During the line as I was waiting, and I actually posted this a little bit later after the Avatar panel, But when I was in line to get food during Marvel Tokon's panel, I met up with Geekly Goods, Leo. I've known of him for a couple years. He's been on Council of Creators a couple times. We've had some conversations here and there. So it was cool to see him in line and chat with him a little bit. So that was cool. Next up is the Batman Cape Crusader panel, which was like a little bit later on Thursday. And this is Gray Drake who hosted the panel. And it was great to meet Gray because this poster I do have. It's over here somewhere. But she did announce as the panel was starting that everyone is getting this Batman Cape Crusader season 2 poster. Can't even talk. Sorry. I just got back to work today after flying back from California, so I'm tired. But I've known of Gray for a number of years. I know she's done a lot of interviews. She's been around for quite a while. So for her to walk by as the panel had ended and we were asking where we had to go to get the poster and everything, and she took a photo with me. So that was pretty cool of her to do that. But the Cape Crusader panel was awesome. They showed the first episode of season 2 at the panel, and then they brought out some of the cast, including Hamish Linklater, who voices Batman, and they brought out the actor who voices Joker, which is pretty cool. So yeah, and then they had the voice actress who voices Harley in this show. But yeah, it was really cool just to see them talk about the show a little bit. But we saw the first episode of season 2 at the panel, and the poster is awesome. So next up, I met the legendary Paul Dini. I really don't know what else I can say besides he's a legend. He's done so much in terms of writing for Batman and everything. So the fact that I got to meet him, take a photo, and get an autograph from him, he actually signed my name a little bit wrong. Not on this one, but there was another print of Batman the Animated Series that he was writing on, and he wrote to Jordan, but he said he didn't like how you wrote Jordan, so he gave me that one for free. But then I got the signature from Paul Dini and met him and talked for a few minutes about the animated series, about Kevin Conroy, and just thanked him for all the work he's done for writing as Batman and all of that, and just in general what he's done for the medium of just entertainment that I grew up on loving, but specifically Batman. That's why I specifically chose this print for him to autograph, because he had another one for Batman Beyond. I'm like, you know what, I love Batman Beyond, but it's the animated series that I grew up on loving. So it was great meeting Paul, shaking his hand. It was really, really cool. And then I was waiting for the Ben 10 panel, which I will not cover here specifically because I did a whole video talking about this. So I'm going to skip through all the Ben 10 stuff because I did a separate video discussing my Ben 10 panel kind of discussion and kind of covering it. And then, of course, meeting one of the creators that after the panel was done. So there's that. And then I posted saying I was getting a little emotional because I've never been to a Comic-Con, so this like really overwhelming, because it really was overwhelming. There. So this was on Friday when this was kind of happening. So as I was waiting, I met up with Omni Media, and you might recognize this guy, Coy. So I was waiting with Omni, and I'd ran into Omni as he was waiting for the My Adventures of Superman panel, which was happening a little bit later on that Friday, because the Ben 10 panel was on Friday. Coy walked past, and I said, "Hey, Coy," and then we were talking a little bit. We got a photo together. So I was like, Omni, get in here, get in the photo, because I didn't really care. It was just cool that all three of us were in a photo together. But it was just cool to talk with Coy for a little bit, and he was having a good time at Comic-Con as well. So that was cool to see him for a little bit and just to kind of chat with him. Never met Coy in person, so that was cool. Then I, of course, seated for my Adventures of Superman panel. They showed a new episode, which was the episode that's airing as this video is going up this upcoming Sunday, or Saturday into Sunday, because the one that aired this past weekend that was during the event of San Diego Comic-Con, was not the one they showed. They showed the one after it. So we were a little bit lost at first, but it makes sense why they showed us this upcoming one. That's as I'm uploading this video in a couple of days from now, which is episode 8, I believe. Yes, because episode 8 makes more sense to show at a panel versus episode 7 with Mixoplix or whatever, Mr. Mixoplix or whatever. That episode they did not show. They showed us the one after it. So if you're caught up on My Adventures of Superman, and you've seen up to episode 7, which is kind of a filler episode, and in that very ending last shot, which is like crazy, they basically lead off with that in terms of episode 8. And it was an insane episode. But yeah, I was definitely not posting spoilers. I'm pretty sure it's out there about what the episode's about, and I know there's like a preview, but I'm pretty sure there's probably people who posted about the spoilers and shit, but I'm not saying anything. It was fucking great. There's no confirmation of season 4 yet for My Adventures of Superman. They didn't say anything about that, but they are hopeful they're saying if we get a season 4, we have plans, we have ideas, and all that. Next up, I can see the images here. I met the original Wolverine, who is still Wolverine in X-Men, the animated series in X-Men 97, Cal Dodd. I got to meet the man himself, and love that photo here of me and him. He has the claws behind my head like Easter Bunny ears, little ears. And then it was really cool. So I got the photo op, and then my friend Phil jumped in. They said his wife, Cal's wife, who runs, I guess, this like stuff when he goes to events. She's like, get in the photo. So Phil got in the photo. So that was really, really cool to meet Cal Dodd and to thank him. He was talking about how he's already recording lines for up to even season 4 of X-Men 97. Like he said, the week prior to Comic-Con, he was recording episodes 3 and episodes 4, like some episodes in season 3 and episodes in season 4 is what he was doing last week. So they're still actively recording lines, and they're getting far ahead in recording the show. So that's pretty cool. Next up, I finally met up with Taj. Now, this is an ongoing bit. Taj is, of course, from Party Nation, which is ran by Lance Geek Drums. If you guys have not seen Party Nation, go check it out. But the bit that me and Taj don't like each other. It's an ongoing bit. We actually got to meet up and everything, and of course, we were keeping the bit going. He's like, he always says he doesn't, like, he says, I don't hate you, man. I don't dislike you. But it's just a bit. It's a bit that I keep going, and that we just keep going, that, hey, we don't like each other. So, but it was cool to meet Taj in person. That was cool. That was awesome. And yeah, there wasn't, I guess it skipped by the image because we did get a photo earlier with Lance. I must have not posted it on Twitter, but I did meet up with Lance at the Batman Cape Crusader panel. I guess I just didn't share the image on Twitter, but I did meet up with him the day prior. But this, of course, myself, Phil, Jake, Taj, and Lance. So that was really cool to see that together. Of course, Lance doesn't smile because he doesn't love me. It's okay. Kidding. But it was cool to meet up with Taj and Lance to hang out for a little bit. And this was, like I said, on Friday. So it's cool. Yep, the boys. And the Avatar screening. Now, here's the thing. I wasn't planning on initially attending the Avatar screening. I wasn't planning on it. And I didn't post a photo here. But I did go before the Avatar Aang screening, which was happening that Friday night. There was a God of War Le Fay panel, which had Christopher Judge, of course, Kratos, had Deborah Ann Wool, of course, who's playing, is it Faye? I forget her name. I forget the name of her character. Of course, Kratos' wife, who is now the lead of God of War Le Fay. I forgot to post. I know I posted on Instagram. I must have forgot to post it on Twitter. But I did attend that panel in the same room that the Avatar Aang screening did happen, like the actual movie of Avatar Aang. So I was in that room. I got the audience reaction recorded for the screening of Avatar Aang. I'm going to be putting that out as soon as I can. Just got to find the time to edit it. But I did see the God of War Le Fay panel. It was really cool to see that and them discuss it. And they announced, of course, there the release date of early next year. But the Avatar Aang, yeah. So I posted. It was awesome to be in the crowd to experience the movie with all those fans. I did record the audience reaction. So yeah, the audience was losing their minds over the Avatar Aang movie. It was so cool. So definitely excited to put that out and all that because it was a crazy. I really enjoyed the movie. Really, really did. So Saturday morning, we were here for the Batman Knightfall Part 1 panel, which I was hopeful that Anson Mount, who is voicing Batman, was going to show up. He unfortunately did not, but we did, of course, see a trailer for it, which I did post a little bit about this, but we do have some of the creatives, including Michael Mandow, who is Bane in the movie. They were there, and we saw the first few minutes of Batman Knightfall Part 1. They were telling us it is brutal, and they were not kidding. It was brutal, and they said it makes sense they had to make this R-rated. And then I tweeted a little bit later that we saw several clips because we ended up seeing about 3 or 4 clips after the trailer played to open up, which I believe the trailer they played was one that's already been out there. But they showed us, like I said, the first few minutes of Batman Knightfall Part 1. And then they showed us a couple other clips in the movie as well. And they ended the final clip they showed right as the panel was ending was Batman versus Bane, where the infamous thing occurs. If you know, you know. But they showed a couple of clips, and I cannot wait for this movie. I can't wait for the trilogy overall, but I cannot wait for Part 1. It was so cool. So I ended up buying a Flash hat at this place that I was there probably like 15-20 minutes deciding on what hats I want to buy. I only ended up buying 2, and you'll see the other one a little bit later. But I wanted to make sure that the Flash hat that I bought was representing the Flash TV show, and it does look like it is representing the show and not the movie. But on the inside of the hat, it does say the Flash, fastest man alive, and the way the logo is printed and the way that was a tagline, the fastest man alive. it is based off the show, not the movie. I didn't want to represent that movie, but I love this hat. It's so cool. I had to get it. Had to get the hat. I was so happy. So happy. So yeah, there's that. And ending on Friday night, and I posted this Saturday morning. I did run into Nerd Chronic, who runs the Reactorverse podcast. He interviews a bunch of reactors. He interviewed me a couple years ago, and it was cool to run into him. I was on the phone with my wife talking to her as I was leaving the Avatar panel Friday night. And like I said, I posted this Saturday morning, and it was cool chatting with him a little bit and discussing, what was happening at Comic-Con. It's unfortunate I didn't get to meet up with him again. He was trying to the next night, but unfortunately I just couldn't do it. But it was cool to run into him, to actually meet him in person, talk to him for a few moments. So that was pretty cool. Pretty cool. So on Friday, I posted this the next morning, but this was on Friday. Alan, myself, and Jake did pose in front of the Wolverine statue for, of course, Marvel's Wolverine game. Now, what they did do, and I don't think I posted a photo of it. After you take the photo with the statue, they give you the prequel comic, which they promoted at the Hall H panel for Marvel's Wolverine game. The prequel comic tells the story of what takes place right before the events of Marvel Wolverine, like the game starts, and it's the story of why Wolverine left Team X in the story, like why he left the team with Ruby, with Mystique and Sabretooth. So like we got that, and we got one claw. So of course they gave us 2 claws for the photo, but they gave us just the 1 claw to take as a gift. So I don't know why 1, but that's what happened. I guess to hold on to, stock, because they ran out of stock on Sunday, and that's a response I did talking with one of the Ben 10 creators. So I went to, and I didn't post about it on here, but we went back into Alan Movie Talk. Alan and myself, we went into Ballroom 20 again, which we were already there previously, but we were here for a couple of panels. So I posted about this panel later on, but we actually walked into the Family Guy panel that was ongoing. So we got to see, I forget her name, who voices Lois, and the Seth Green was there. Seth MacFarlane was not there, which it makes sense. He's not really a part of the show. He only voices the characters on the show. He's not really like a part of like an executive producer. Like he doesn't like write on the show and work on the show day to day. He just does the voices at this point. He really just kind of lets other people do it. So it makes sense why he wasn't there. But they had the actor who voices Cleveland now, and then they had Jennifer Tilly who voices Bonnie, and they had somebody who is like a director who works on the show. But they had a couple of people there, so it was kind of fun to see that panel a little bit. They had a Entertainment Weekly Brave Warriors panel with a couple of people on there. Han from the Fast and Furious franchise, I forget his name, but he was the lead in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter movie, which I saw like a year or so ago. It was really kind of strange movie, but and then I forget there was one guy on the panel that was an Army of the Dead. I forget his name, but he's also in the new Walking Dead Dead City new spinoff or whatever spinoff with Negan show. He's in season 3. And then you had Jamie Campbell, I think it's his name, Jamie Bauer Campbell or whatever, who was Vecna in Stranger Things. So they had that panel, which had a couple different people on there from Entertainment Weekly. And then you had the Neely and Reacher panel, which of course showed footage from Reacher season 4, like the trailer. And then they showed Neely trailer, which I don't believe is out yet, the spinoff. So it's cool to see these actors specifically, because I love Reacher. Like Alan Richardson and Maria Sten, they are fantastic, and Neely and Reacher, I love them. So the fact that Reacher, of course, is still continuing, they're shooting season 5 of Reacher right now, and then the fact that Maria Sten gets her own spinoff, and they're also writing a book for her character, which is pretty cool. And Alan did reveal what season 5, like what book they're basing season 5 off of, so that was pretty cool as well. I'm not really versed on the book, so I have no clue, but he announced some information that you can find it somewhere online. The thing that Alan wanted to go to specifically was the Carrie panel, which was at 5 o'clock. And this was happening right around the time of Hall H, Marvel Studios, because we, of course, didn't get into Marvel Studios. But Mike Flanagan, who apparently has never been to Comic-Con with a project before. He was under Netflix for years, as we know. Not once, and I'm surprised by this. He's never been to Comic-Con. He said this at the panel. He's never been to Comic-Con with a project before, but now he's under Amazon. Now he's here talking Carrie. And Mike Flanagan got a huge pop when he came out on stage. Matthew Lillard, they showed us a couple of clips. I say we've seen 2, but this was so far. They showed us probably 3 clips and the trailer for Carrie. Matthew Lillard, when they announced him first on the panel when the host came out who was moderating the panel. I have the clip on my TikTok. Matthew Lillard was running around in in the crowd a little bit at the front, and everything. So that was really really funny. Samantha Sloan, who you might recognize her, That's a weird freeze frame. Sorry, Samantha. I do apologize, but she is notorious for playing evil, mean characters. She is so nice. And everyone was praising her acting and everything. So it was really really cool. To see this panel, just to see the praise and everything, and see the couple clips of Carrie. Every clip was awesome. Oh dang it! I lost my spot. Okay, so now I am back. Sorry about that. But yeah, so the clips are great. The trailer is great. They revealed, of course, that in this image came up. I love this freaking image. It's all dropping, all 8 episodes, October 7th. So you can binge watch Carrie when it drops. And they showed this image, and the crowd was like, oh, like it's. I love the look. I love this like art and everything, and like this kind of key art or whatever they call it. And then we found out as we're leaving, because they didn't say anything about it in the panel, we got the poster. We got a poster version of it, and it's over there with my other poster. But it was cool that we got a poster of Carrie. And then, of course, when the Marvel news is coming out, we got Ghost Rider, Sean Levy's directing, Ryan Gosling. So I retweeted some of the stuff from Marvel and everything. Of course, I wasn't physically there. I would they did give this poster out. This Doom poster. We, of course, didn't get it. We were not a Hall H, so we didn't get the poster. I retweeted a couple stuff there. Black Panther 3. And then later that night, went to an X-Men panel that was like basically celebrating X-Men. It was run by, I guess, these co-hosts of a podcast dedicated to X-Men. And a bunch of people were there in terms of the original voice actors for Rogue. We'll get to this image in a second. The original actress for Rogue, who's still voicing Rogue. You had the new Jubilee actress. You had Sunspot. You had God, what was that other? Oh, Polaris. She was there, and then you had Emma Frost show up here, who's on the left, and then you had Teddy Sears, who voices Havoc. And so I tweeted, Zoom just showed up to an X-Men Celebration panel. My only thing was, and it was cool that some of these other actors who were not, because see, Teddy Sears and the voice actress who is here, who voiced Emma Frost, they brought out a couple more people. A lot of these other people they brought out, like in terms of like surprise guest, didn't say much. Like Teddy only said maybe 2 or 3 lines the whole entire rest of the panel when he showed up. And I kind of wish they would have spent more time talking to the other actors when they came up as surprises, because they brought out their little cards, right? You see, like Teddy Sears, they brought out their little like name tags as surprise, like, oh, if they were already up there, then you already know who's going to be coming out. So they walked up with their name tags. I was really hoping that they would actually give them more time. They were like sending people out in the crowd, giving out away like Funkos and toys, and it took up time from the panel. And I understand that was a big thing, and it's like a celebration of X-Men, but I kind of wish they would have spent more time talking with the actual cast when they're coming out as surprise appearances, and given them a couple of questions to answer, whether it's like, a rapid fire question, or like just give them more time to talk. That's my only thing I had against this whole panel. It was cool to see Zoom in person, see Teddy Sears. It was cool to see some of these people, because after the panel, I did go speak with the Rogue actress. I'm blanking on her name. Sorry, it's been a long day. But Joypad Jake actually knows her. He's met her several times at conventions, and so he was talking with her, and I went up and just shook her hand. I didn't take a photo with her. Didn't take a photo, but it was great to shake her hand and thank her for her hard work and what she's done with the character Rogue, and I can't wait to see more of her. So I did thank her and all that. Unfortunately, like I said, don't have a photo, but it's okay. It's fine. Then Jake, myself, and Phil, we did a video talking about Marvel H's recapping Marvel Hall H, not Marvel H, Marvel Hall H, talking about that and everything, and just discussing what was kind of announced, and Ryan Reynolds showing up, who was in a gray Deadpool outfit throughout Saturday. The other hat that I bought, of course, that Flash hat, I bought an Ahsoka hat with the little ears on it. Had to get it was the last one they had. I had to get the Ahsoka hat. Okay, just had to get it. Found it at Comic-Con. And this is where I met another Ben 10 creator. It was cool meeting Steven and everything. Like I said, made a separate video. Another great photo here. I forgot, I chose the one, and Steven's actually in the background. Didn't even realize that. I should have caught that, because like shortly after that photo was taken and they all left, and it was just me and Phil here. But yeah, I should have picked the later photo, because Omni was actually smiling a little bit more in the other one. But I got to meet up with Omni, Busy was about to head to the airport at this point, and Ronan. And me and Phil were already walking around, so it was cool to kind of see these guys one more time before they actually left, because I didn't see Omni or Ronan again after this, and Busy as well. But yeah, so yeah, that was really cool to see those guys one more time. A little bit earlier in that morning, before we ran into these guys here, Larry Houston. Me and Phil ran into Larry Houston. Of course, he's worked on a lot of stuff you see here. He's worked on G.I. Joe, Captain Planet, Care Bears, Swamp Thing, Static Shock. He directed it. He said, because I asked him, because at the bottom he's kind of covering it up, he directed 2 episodes of Batman the Animated Series. I'm like, what? Like, I didn't know what he did that work at all. But he's actively working on, as you can see in the images, X-Men 97. He's done other stuff as well, but he's actively still working on X-Men 97. He worked on the original X-Men series, the 90s series. And so he's back still working on X-Men 97, still doing artwork and still like crafting intros and everything and changing up shit. So he's actively still working on the show, and it was great to meet him and take a photo with him and shake his hand and thank him for his work and the work he's going to continue to do. It was really cool to meet him. Scroll through all this. And then I responded to, you're not ready for this episode of, My Adventures of Superman. And then that's pretty much it. I didn't tweet anything else about the event. We pretty much wrapped it up after this photo, and then I met up with the Ben 10 creator, because I posted this a little bit later. But this is like one of the last things we did before we like walked around a little bit more, and then just kind of called it a day on Sunday. But yeah, it was pretty damn fun. It's crazy that this actually happened, in terms of like actually like Comic-Con happened. There's just so much to do, so many people to meet, people that I didn't meet. I wanted to try to run into more people, but unfortunately it didn't happen. But overall it was a giant success in terms of meeting online friends in person for the first time, meeting a bunch of people that created stuff that I love, and just have this experience, because I've never been to a Comic-Con ever, any sort of Comic-Con before this. Never was at one until this one. So then I went to the biggest one realistically that happens. So yeah, that's my experience at Comic-Con. It was really fun. It was a lot. It was draining. It was very, because there's a lot of stuff, a lot of walking, a lot of waiting at times, but it's worth the trip, in my opinion. It is worth the trip for sure. So if you have never been to Comic-Con, or you've not been in a while, expect long and big crowds, long lines, but it's worth it. At the end of the day, for me, it was worth it, and I can't wait to do it again next year. So yeah, that's pretty much my breakdown and kind of discussion of my experience at San Diego Comic-Con. Did you guys go? Did you enjoy yourselves? Are you guys looking to go at some point? Trust me, I think it is worth at least one time going. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out.